okay, everything's ready to go. And I'm really happy that you're here, that you joined the secrets, discovering the secrets of consciousness. And this is a new series that starts. So we have to get started with this. This is a new idea, and some parts of it might not be that familiar directly, but still it's a great discovery. And that always is like opening up something new. So that's why this is so helpful. In my experience, of course, I'm talking about my experience, like this is very helpful for me to discover all the ways, in fact, looking from a whole-minded vision to all these aspects and see how they fall into place and how that looks. Now today you can say what can you expect? We're going to do a meditation and using the words of Joel. This is from Consciousness in Transition. And the other part, what is it that we're going to do is that I'm going to introduce you to the idea of Noetic Science, but I have to tell you right from the start that I'm not associated with any of the, say, the institutes of Noetic Science. Now I see, so the way that I use Noetic Science is to give, say, examples of fields of research in science where something very obvious is, they make an attempt to prove the very obvious for you. But why am I using then Noetic Science is only to have a starting point. Since part of your mind is still working, say, with an idea of science, you look at statistics, you look even the weather forecast and you expect something of that. Well, that's sufficient to see that you are actually using science to navigate, and that's a start, because the release of that, trusting in that, is where we, say, start to discover the secrets of consciousness. Right from the start, like I said, I'm not associated with the Institute for Science, for Noetic Science, because how they look and what they do, they have to see for themselves. Like this is from a really, really beautiful place inside myself where I recognize everything falls into place. Like, yes, this is another aspect. Yes, here's my brother researching this. He wants to prove to himself, of course, to who else? He wants to prove to himself that there's only one consciousness, or he's only wanting to prove to himself that there's this and there's that. And so this is something that you might be able to relate to as a starting point. And then we move on from there pretty fast, because Joel comes in with his expressions about consciousness, and here's more and here's more. The transformational principles that come to the surface, that actually are telling you something of where you find yourself. Because since you have moved on from pure functioning as a human being, you have discovered there is something else. Not sure maybe what it is, but you want to discover it. Now this is the right place for that. So we say we tap in fact, in the place where you find yourself. Not where you're supposed to be or where this or that. No, this comes completely back to your experience, because that's where we start with. This is about your experience, not about Joel's experience, not about Jesus' experience. This is about your experience. That's where it starts. Now, in the meditation that we do, we use the expression of Joel that is referring to this specific point. It's like, come back to yourself, your experience. That's where this is about. Like, stay right here. Don't move from this place. Like, if you don't discover it in yourself, it's not received. So that's something that we come back to later on in the first secret. See, the secret is that there's a singular, subjective experience, really, of truth, and that is your experience of reality. So I can say that as a word, like here's the secret, but the secret is that you can't explain it. Now the secret is that you are the one experiencing that. You are literally made ready to experience that. That part is the secret. The concepts I can easily share, that's no problem, but the actual experience is where this is about. So yeah. That is the program. Oh, we're going to listen to Joel, of course, because this is a tape group. So we use the tapes of Joel, and intensively too in the books. You've seen that in the preparation too. So if you sign up for this, you receive an email with some background information, like some expressions of Joel, a video that you can prepare yourself for what is coming in the next Sunday. So we are listening to the still small voice later on, the video, the still small voice. And that is the only reality for you. That's the only link for you with reality, the still small voice. So that's why it's so crucial to share that with you too. Going back to the meditation. So this is an invitation to sit back, to relax, to inhale this truth that is given to us through Joel. Joel is letting the ocean of truth flow through him and makes you part of this experience. Like you are that ocean. Joel is reflecting that at you, but it's you are that ocean. Like you're a complete whole part of that ocean. It is flowing through you. It's welling up in you. That is really essential to recognize here. Since I have come to this awakening, I have learned that this isn't really all of me. It is the least part of me. Back of me is an infinite ocean called God. I am in and of that tremendous ocean. As a matter of fact, I am the place where that ocean is going to flow through and as. That is where we are this moment. Every time we close our eyes in meditation, or every time we keep our eyes open, but open this ear to hear the still small voice. To place ourselves in a state of receptivity. Every time we do that, we are acknowledging that there is a whole ocean of intelligence, a whole ocean of life and love and truth. We are opening our consciousness to the influx. Why? Just by opening my ear, I have the whole voice of God to listen to. By just opening my consciousness, I have the whole guidance and direction and thought of God. By opening my consciousness, I have all the health and strength and longevity, immortality, eternality, peace, joy, power, dominion. Everything that belongs to God now belongs to me because I have opened my consciousness for this inflow. Thank you so much. Yeah, I realized, like, oh my God, I love you so much. Thank you so much for doing this with me. It's like we don't do this alone. You do this with me. So that feels so good at this point. It's like I'm so grateful for your presence, for just paying attention here, for this unique moment in which we can experience like this ocean of love and light and beauty and connectedness. Like, wow, thank you, so beautiful. Like, this is our starting point. Like, how wonderful is that? How beautiful. So thank you for that. Wow. That's great. So now we're going to do, we continue. Are we doing something? I don't know. It's like we're continuing with introducing the first secret. And see, there's basically only one secret, but we will repeat that in the myriad of forms it presents itself. Like a diamond has many sides. There are many ways of looking at a diamond. So here's one, this is one angle, and we start with an expression of the Noetic Science. Now, like I said, well, let's start first. What is Noetic Science? It's like the science of consciousness, of intuition, of it's like near-death experiences, and people that are actually in research of discovering what is going on. Of course, you cannot, with the means of this world, you cannot really come to the basic thing of it, since what is occurring depends on how do you see yourself, where do you find yourself, that determines what's possible for you to discover. That's not any different for anyone here. It's like the point where you are receiving this is exactly what this is about. If I'm a scientist and I believe this world to be real and want to use the methods and all the equipment that's available at this point to discover something, well, what is that going to bring me? Well, that's going to bring me a result that fits within this limited frame of research, of course. I said this too in the introduction video that I made. But that's really how that is. It's like I have looked with the eyes of science, and I discovered, like, I cannot escape. I simply can't escape the limitations that I perceive myself to be in. That doesn't make sense. That was the end of my science career when I discovered that. It's like, does it not make sense to do it like this? Now, the other part where I got in touch with science, because I might as well motivate this, why I'm actually using science. Well, when I had my first initial awakening experience in which literally my whole world was set upside down, and I discovered for just a moment a glimpse of the perfect universe, in like a beautiful, incredible synchronicity, so perfect that I couldn't believe it, and that shook me up. That, like, nothing made sense anymore after that of the things that I tried to do before. Literally, there was nothing left of it that I could relate to. Now, that in itself can look to some people surrounding you as an real occurrence in a mental state or in psychiatric state or whatever. So I was confronted with the medical science, and not that I went into a psych ward, but certainly I had like a couple of conversations with a psychiatrist, checking out if I was doing all right. And I shared this before, anyway, it's like this was my moment to get in touch. How am I? Right from the start, from my awakening, I had to come in touch with a psychiatrist asking me if I was doing all right. And after the walk that I made with him, where I suddenly discovered the immeasurable, infinite beauty of a flower that I encountered and got in touch with in front of his eyes, kneeling down to it and discovering and trying to share the beauty that I was seeing, he basically said to me, wow, I wish I could see that. Instead of, there's something wrong with you. It's like, no, in fact, it seems like your eyes have been opened to something that I cannot see. But if you do it like this, it's incredible. Like, so this is what I mean. It's like there was, for me, a direct relationship with science right from the start. Now, and I see then too, it's like during being in contact with so many with psychological differences or like mental disease and all this, addiction programs and addiction facilities, seeing that like science has no answer to it. Of course not. But can you relate to the one that is there? Oh yeah, very well, very well. Like you can relate to it. I've seen this in so many ways, and that's so beautiful to see that. It's like seeing that a totally schizophrenic person that seemed to be like that recognized me after 25 years and walks up to me and say like, oh Wim, thank you so much for what you did. You were just so calm and so patient with me. Thank you. That is like, you know, that's like that. There's no science that can help you with that. But nevertheless, we're using expressions of science. And this one is very sweet that we're going to use because it confirms, no, it totally matters what you feel. Like it starts with you. What you feel is worth research. Like it's worth a place in this world. It's worth it because it is not that it needs to be reproducible for it to have existence. Like in medical, or in the science world, you will always have to repeat an experiment in order to prove it's reproducible. But in fact, when it is reproducible, it isn't real. If it's unique, like I cannot explain the experiences I had in the beginning of my awakening. I can't explain. They were unique. There was no way of measuring it. There would be no way of reproducing it. But it did make perfect sense, and it changed my life forever. Like it gave me a purpose. And that's sufficient. So it's like here, science already stops. But anyway, we use this one beautiful step in science, of Noetic Science. Like they put a step of, yes, your subjective experience totally matters. Yes, that's the start. It needs to be considered. Like it needs to be considered. It needs to be included, really. So this is what I wrote down. Well, actually, I shared it now. That's perfectly all right too. So when Joel continues with his expression, I will pull that up because that refers to the same subjective part. Like it needs to be an experience of you. If it would be objective, then I can reproduce it and make it into a science. This is not being made into science. This is a unique occurrence outside of time and space, basically, because the belief of time and space is another scientific aspect. But anyway, I don't want to get too deep into the concepts. I just want to share the beauty of my discovery with you. So if you can join me there, that is great, wonderful. I love it. Okay, this consciousness, discovering the secrets of consciousness. Subjective singular, the first secret. I go really fast now, yes, I do. So there's a field of science that has as its main focus the intellectual support, the new spiritual and mystical experiences with scientific research. Like if you have a good experience of a mystical experience, you don't really look for a scientific confirmation of it. But anyway, this has been named Noetic Science. So I continue because I don't want to stand still too long with this, since we also want to listen to Joel. Here it says subjectivity. This is the Noetic Science. Subjectivity is a valid lens of inquiry. Noetic Science asserts that subjective first-person experience, like feelings, intuitions, inner visions, mystical experiences, is a valid source of knowledge that should be studied scientifically, complementing objective third-person observations, if you think that is important, to confirm it scientifically. Joel says it this way: every spiritual idea realized in your consciousness will find manifestation and expression. Every spiritual idea realized in your consciousness, like you're consciously coming into that experience, you feel it, you are like you are stirred by spirit, will find manifestation and expression. Not that the manifestation is external to you, no, but it becomes an object or expression of subjective unfoldment. This is a spiritual law. There can be no external change without an inner change. Like what you experience within, you will reflect outside. In the degree, Joel says, that your consciousness approaches that of John, the beloved disciple, you're able to grasp the vision of spiritual life and its spiritual formations. You then discern the temple not made with hands, the spiritual body, health and wholeness. The God that controls your destiny is your consciousness. You might say that it is divine consciousness or divine mind, and it would be true. But putting it that way, you are apt to think of it as something outside or external to yourself. One of the great factors in the failure of man is the belief that God is something other than their own being, and therefore they are looking to something outside themselves to do or achieve for them. Your whole existence is reconstructed by your consciousness of good. So this supports the idea, as I stated here, this supports the idea that the nature of spiritual experience is subjective. It starts with you. It starts with you going within, you meditating. It starts with your mystical experience. It starts with you feeling the stirring of spirit within you. It is no longer dependent on an outside world. The subjective singular experience is the communion with Source and is the only reality. I shared it quick because I shared it too in the video already, like that I set up. And I want to come to the point where we're actually taking a look at this, like what it actually means in your experience, because that's where it's most important. It's like the essential part in this. And this, for me, it took a moment to really recognize what is occurring to you. That takes a moment for it to settle, that you acknowledge it in yourself, that this is an occurrence that is taking place in you. It does not depend on an outside world, no. And you don't have to look for results of your experience, say, outside yourself. That now suddenly you have a beautiful awakening experience, and the next question would be, where are my devotees? Now I'm now a guru. Now where are my devotees? See, that can be in your experience that you think that should happen, but that's not the way it looks. That's not the way it works. So in other words, what I'm saying here is this, is like, no, this is totally sufficient. It is your experience. Joel says this this is a sacred and secret experience. You cannot even talk about it really. Like I try to express something that is related to it, but I cannot express it directly to you because it is your experience, right? We share it. When you are in that experience, it communicates with everything. But you cannot define it or share it in any kind of way, in any kind of human way. You cannot really express it, except You use symbols. You use stories. You use however you try to give it an idea. You try to share an idea, just as what I'm trying to do now. Like that is how sacred it is and how secret it is. And Joel comes back to this many times. So the recognition of you, and this is where I'm really putting the emphasis, is like the recognition of you, of your experience. You become still. You feel the stirring of spirit. You listen. You're willing to listen to the still small voice directing you. Before you do anything, you let that come first into your experience. Joel says it with, before you open a door and enter into a room with so-called others, you bless this room. It's like you do that. It's literally like you see everything as a continuation of your inner experience. Now you bring in your light and your love and your, in fact, your communion, your light and love that you receive during your meditation, that you receive by your recognition of it, by your mind being imbued with truth. Now the whole idea of your mind being imbued with truth is really true. It's like it is keeping yourself active in your remembrances, sitting still during the day, allowing like 1 or 2 minute meditations to let it happen in you. Why? To stay in touch with your inner life, with your inner being. So the still small voice is literally your option to a direct contact with God, no matter where you go, no matter where you seem to find yourself. Like, it really does not matter. You take that with you, because it is literally completely embedded into your inner being. That's where it flows out of. It's like the ocean. Like, it flows out of you. You're a complete part of it. You are become the expression of it. Not that you have to do great, wonderful, I don't know what kind of thing. No, don't make any images. No, the thing is, you are listening to the still small voice, and you follow the instructions that it gives you. You follow the direction. You are literally glowing of the love that it extends to you. Now this you radiate. Just by receiving that, you start to radiate that. And that changes your whole world. Because that was not the way you walked around in this world before. You did not do it that way. No, you were anxious, you were defensive, you were confirming yourself as a separate identity. All the things that human beings do, like you prove that you are not like them and not like them. And like, no. So all this human behavior dissolved in the moment that you start to listen to the still small voice, and you have to keep reminding yourself to do so. So that's really beautiful. Now, sharing with you another expression before we're going to listen to Joel, because we need time for that. Continuing with these 3 transformative principles that are coming to the surface. So this is like concrete, compact expressions of the occurrence that is taking place by you recognizing, like, this is happening in me. I can acknowledge that within myself. So the transformative principles are the acceptance of the subjective experience of singularity is the basis of living your mystical life. It depends on your experience, not on anyone else's, not on Joel's, not on Jesus's. No, this depends on your experience of singularity. And singularity is union, is oneness, is wholeness, is the demonstration of the subjective experience of singularity is the fulfillment of the law of love, the law of God. The demonstration of the subjective experience, literally you starting to radiate this, what you have received, as a total gift of grace. You radiate that by nature. Like that happens automatically when you start to receive this for yourself. The perfection of God's creation in a direct experience in self-expression is what a healing consciousness is. It recognizes itself in everyone and everything. Wow, that's so bright and clear. Like the perfection of God's creation, right? How you are created in a direct experience of you, in self-expression, you starting to radiate this light because of what you have received, is what a healing consciousness is. It recognizes itself in everyone and everything. Like, in other words, it doesn't need any longer to defend itself, to prove itself right, or to convince, or to... No, none of these things. Like, why would you do that? Who am I going to... try to discuss this or something? No. This is coming from within me. I'm extending it to you. And if you pick it up, if you resonate with this, you actually start to hear this. That's wonderful. Now acknowledge that in yourself. Stand for it. Like, claim it as your own experience. Because that's where it starts. You have to literally stand for it. You start to demonstrate it, to teach this, if you want to say it like that. You start to radiate this. Now you see, that is a total secret. It is not that you can buy it in a shop or something, or that, no, this is a total gift by grace. And that's why it extends, or it expands through that, through your expression of it, through your receptivity, through your receiving this. And this is what we then call as like a healing consciousness. You receive it first. You receive the grace of God for yourself. In that, you give it away. You radiate that to whoever, to wherever you are, or just in your own space. It really doesn't matter. Like, the occurrence is where this is about. All right, so that's my introduction, like the first secret, where we continue with, because that is a huge secret. It is the foundation of the infinite way. Having your own conscious experience of God. All right, so now Joel is going to talk in the second part of the tape that we're going to listen to. He's continuing with the idea of the still small voice.
It is true that 1,000 may fall at your left hand and 10,000 may fall at your right hand. There's not much you can do about that at this present moment, except demonstrate in your individual experience that none of these things can come nigh your dwelling place. Because as you demonstrate this, some friend, some relative, some neighbor perceives and begins to follow suit. And the first thing you know, there are 2 or more of us gathered together in this name, in this realization, in this revelation. The power of God is in the still small voice. We bring healing to the mind. If mind were God, it wouldn't need healing. We bring healing to the mind and to the body, to the purse, to our human relationships, through our ability to become receptive and responsive to that still small voice. We begin to demonstrate in our individual experiences that none of these evils of the world come nigh our dwelling place. We begin to demonstrate that which was revealed to us 2,000 years ago. I am come that ye might have life and that ye might have it more abundantly. I, yes, the still small voice at the center of your being is that which God has given to you as your individual Savior, as your individual Messiah, as your individual unfoldment of divine harmony. When you become receptive and responsive to the still small voice within your own being, you can walk this earth in peace, in safety, in security, in abundance. Now, just think what has happened because the subject of spiritual healing was brought back upon the earth in the middle of the 19th century. It came, too, to have its birth in a manger. It was not received in high places. It was not respected. A place had to be built for it in the consciousness of mankind. And I think that it was a fortunate thing that it came into the world through a woman like Mrs. Eddy, gifted with the vision to set a protection around it, so that as time went on, spiritual healing has come to be respected, and people who indulge and engage in spiritual healing have come to be respected and honored in their communities in all of the world. That could only be done because every avenue of protection and integrity was thrown around the message, to such an extent that to this day now, the entire world is opening itself to the subject of spiritual healing. The entire world is. That which came into this world an outlaw, illegitimate offspring, if you wish, is now honored and respected and sought after. And the day is coming when spiritual healing will be in every church on the face of the globe. In your day and mine, it will be in half the churches. And it won't be too long till every church finds a way to open itself to the subject of spiritual healing. What is the value to the world of spiritual healing? As such, very little. Because whether we get healed of a headache with an aspirin tablet for 5 cents or pay $2 for a spiritual treatment doesn't really matter too much. In both cases, the result is the same. The headache has been healed. But spiritual healing has deeper significance than that. And even if you knew you could be healed for 5 cents, take my word for it, if you can be healed for $5, take that. Because in the spiritual treatment, your soul faculties are touched and aroused and awakened. And then ultimately you learn what I'm saying to you now. There is a spiritual power, and bombs can't touch it. Depressions can't reach it. Flames can't burn it. Water can't drown it. It isn't only Christianity that knows that. The Bhagavad Gita of India tells you the same in the same words. All Scripture reveals that there is a transcendental presence which, when it encompasses your being, when you embrace it, when it reaches your heart center, it sets you apart from the world. And then the germs that lay low the world with grippe and flu and so forth These do not come nigh your dwelling place. And if they do, it only takes a few hours to see them removed. The alcoholism and the drug addiction and the juvenile delinquency, these do not come nigh your household. Or if they do, they're quickly dispelled, because you have found the fourth dimension of life, how to hide yourself in the secret place of the Most High, how to live and move and have your being in an atmosphere of love instead of hate, injustice, inequality. There is such a dimension. That is the whole essence of the message of the infinite way. The secret of life isn't in material force or power. The secret of life isn't in mental powers. The secret of life is in the still small voice. The secret of life is in just such things as, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. I, in the midst of thee, am mighty. You see, throughout all ages, the world has been gifted with mystics, great mystics, who have made tremendous contributions to the religious and literary world. But the masses of mankind, the numbers, have not heeded these mystics nor their mystical teachings. The reason is this. What I am saying to you cannot be understood, cannot even be believed by your mind. Your mind cannot encompass spiritual presence or spiritual power. Your mind can only grasp that which can be seen, heard, tasted, touched, and smelled, and that is why it has been said that thoughts are things. This is more true than you can believe. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are as material as things are. So therefore, thoughts can't be God. You see, to understand the spiritual wisdom of this world, your soul faculties must be opened. Your spiritual discernment must be aroused, awakened. Awake thou that sleepest, Christ will give thee light. As human beings, we are all asleep. We're asleep in the belief in material powers and mental powers, and we're asleep to the reality, asleep to the fact that there is a transcendental presence and power, a mystical presence and power, that which is called God. When men write about God, think about God, talk about God, and pray to God, they're in the human world where God doesn't operate. That's why there are so few answers to prayer. So few. People are praying with their mind. Not only that, they're using words and thoughts in prayer. And if ever anything is clear in a spiritual teaching, it is that words and thoughts are not power. God's thoughts are not your thoughts. God's ways are not your ways. God's power is not your power. How do we avail ourselves of God's power? Through the still small voice. Do you think for a moment that that's your voice or mine? Don't be deceived. The greatest master of them all said, I can of my own self do nothing. If I speak of myself, I bear witness to a lie. Do you think that any of us then, lesser lights, have any right ever to believe that our thoughts and our words are power? Heaven forgive such egotism. To be the recipient of the benefits of prayer, you must learn to be still and let the still small voice utter itself within you. He uttered his voice, the earth melteth. You don't utter your voice and make this earth of error melt. I can't open my mouth and make this earth of error melt. But I can be still, as I have learned to be these last 20-odd years, and let this infinite invisible flow out. I have learned to be so still that nothing comes forth but a deep breath. And I've seen sickness healed, and sin and lack, not by any power of man's thinking, right thinking. I've never seen men wrecked by wrong thinking. Only one thing wrecks men: material thinking, whether it's good or bad. Don't think for a moment that only bad people are wrecked in this life. Good ones end up in the same grave with the same diseases, with the same sins in their families, if not in themselves. Don't ever believe for a moment that only the evil people of this world get punished. Every man, woman, and child on the face of the globe is punished who continues to live in material thinking, whether it's good thinking or bad thinking. Materialism is the sin, and that includes mentalism, for mind and matter is one. Thoughts are things. Material thinking is always motivated by the desire to get, to achieve, to accomplish, to add unto oneself. Spiritual thinking is always motivated by an outpouring from the center of one's being. And the more spiritual, the wider the circle that it embraces. In the beginning, spiritual thinking, things mostly of its own family, community, nation, until spiritual awareness grows to such an extent that in one blinding flash an individual realizes, by God is the reality of individuals. That must mean friend and foe. That must mean Jew and Greek, white and black, bond and free. God is the life of individual being, whether it's the life of a blade of grass or the life of the fish in the sea or the life of the man walking the earth. And when you once see that, gaze outward and behold thy brother, thy sister. And when you do, you understand the meaning of the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. You understand the great master, call no man on earth your father. One is your father. Only one. We then be brethren and sisters. Who we? We sitting in this room? It was never addressed so. That we was addressed to the world. It included the bond and the free. It included the Jew and the Greek. It included all mankind. Spiritual awareness, then, is that living out from the center of one's being, which encompasses this entire world. It has been my privilege on this trip to speak to, I think, about 4 unity centers or unity churches in the cities where I have visited, and a religious science church too. And in each instance, I have been led to say this, and I repeat it for you. The world is seeking peace, peace on earth, and it isn't going to find it in the near future. We must set the example that later will bring peace on earth. If we of the metaphysical world, we who are students of the infinite way or Christian Science or unity, the New Thought teachings, if we cannot agree that there is only one God, one life, one soul, one being, and that regardless of the difference in our approaches to the subject, that our goal is the same, the demonstration of God on earth, not the demonstration of things, not the demonstration of a new way to get automobiles or cure bodies, but that our goal is the demonstration of God in individual experience. When we agree to that, and let that love flow from us to each other, we will then be able to set the pattern for the Protestant world, the Catholic world, the Jewish world, the white world and the black world, the brown world, to come into an agreement that we be one, of one household, one family, but never believe that until the metaphysical movements of the world can come into better relationships with each other, that this can ever be a universal thing on earth. We must first break down the barriers so that we acknowledge, regardless of approach, that we are united in this, that we agree that there is but one Father, the one in heaven, and that all of us are united by an invisible bond of spiritual brotherhood and spiritual sisterhood, and that our purpose is to demonstrate God. Demonstrate that God is our abiding place, our safety, our security, our high tower, our supply. God is our transportation. We don't demonstrate automobiles. We demonstrate the presence and the power of God. And we demonstrate it not by taking thought, for who by taking thought can add anything to this world? It already exists. God made everything in the beginning, and it's here. We won't gain it by taking thought. We will gain it by opening ourselves to the still small voice. And when that still small voice is upon us, we will find our automobile at the door, if that's our need, or a steamship, if that's our need, a home or a companion, if that should be our need. But at least we will have arrived at that place where we stop trying to tell God what we need and leave it a little bit to the all-knowing mind to know our need and to fulfill our need. For many years, it has been my hope that I could speak freely on the subject of mysticism. And I had my joy in Chicago last month when we had an entire class on the subject of mysticism. And I know that as we go forward from that point, that it will be possible to carry our students further along that mystical path to where each one comes into the realization not only of his true identity, but of the true identity of all mankind, of all men on the face of the globe, to where a universal love can come through. I want to show you in this week's class how we have held ourselves in bondage to our problems and how we can free ourselves of our problems. And the first step in that we have taken tonight. I ask you to see, not to accept my word, I mean to see. If necessary, go home tonight and spend this night in meditation, or all day tomorrow, until you see this point. Mind is not a creative faculty. With your mind, you are not going to create your good or evil. God already is, and your good already is, and because of omnipresence, your good is already here where you are. The place whereon thou standest is holy ground. All of God is where you are. All of God's grace is active and operating where you are. You need no mind action to cause your good, to create your good, or to bring it forth. God does all these things. You must be still. You must be still and let God come through. The second step we take is when you realize that your good and your evil of human experience is a creation of your own mind, and that it must be dispelled there, so that you no longer concern yourself with your human good or your human evil, but with the demonstration of your spiritual good, the gifts of God. Now, let us do this together. Close your eyes. Relax. Be as comfortable as you can. There's no mystical reason, no occult reason for any position that you may assume. It is strictly one of comfort. The more comfortably you place your body, the easier it will be to be absent from the body and present with the Lord. That is the only reason for anyone suggesting to you any particular position to sit in when you are meditating, because after a while you will learn that it is totally unimportant whether you are sitting, standing, or standing on your head, whether you're driving a car or whether you're in the battlefront. You can meditate just as well doing one thing as another, or being in any position, lying down, standing up, or upside down. It is only in the beginning where it is more satisfactory to make the body comfortable, that it does not intrude into your thoughts. Now that we are comfortable, let us take either the person who is the most troublesome one in all your life, the one you think you'd like to get rid of, or the one you'd like to improve or change or correct or reform. And if there's no such person, let's take the condition, whether it's lack, sin, or disease. Let us take something that to you is very objectionable, something you'd gladly exchange for a counterfeit nickel. And let us see where it exists. And I don't find any of those things in my mind. And so that means if you've got them in your mind, that's where they exist. They are in your mind. Are they there as actual person or condition? Or does what you have in your mind represent a concept of a person or a condition, a theory or a belief? You see, you haven't really got a person or a condition in your mind. What you're holding there is a thought about a person or a condition. What you're holding there is a concept about a person or a condition. So let us understand this clearly. There's no person troubling you, and there's no condition troubling you. You are entertaining some concept of a person or a condition, and that concept is fighting with you. Why is it fighting with you and disturbing you? Because it isn't true. It isn't true. If you have a right concept of me, or anything approaching a right concept of Joel, it isn't warring with you, it isn't disturbing you, it isn't upsetting you. In fact, you're quite at peace with it. You're enjoying it. But on the other hand, if you're not, you may accept it from me that you have a very wrong concept of me. If there isn't anything in my mind, there isn't anything in my soul, there isn't anything in my body that's at all destructive to you, harmful to you, injurious to you, in any way, shape, manner, or form. And so if I'm disturbing you, it isn't me, it's some false concept that you're entertaining about me. But this other person of whom you're thinking, or this other condition of whom you're thinking, you believe that that's different. Here you really know. No, you don't. No, you don't, and here you'll have to take my word for it. This person of whom you're thinking is God itself, individually expressing itself on earth. This is the very Christ of God whom you are malpracticing, against whom you are bearing false witness. You are the sinner. You are bearing false witness against this neighbor, friend, relative. You are entertaining a wrong picture of God's own image and likeness. You have the right now to ask if I can prove it. Yes, I can prove it. So can every metaphysical practitioner, more especially those who are working from the spiritual plane. Because every spiritual healer takes any case that you present to him, saint or sinner, poor or rich, sick or well, and instantly recognizes God, the Father in heaven, is the only Father of men. Therefore, we are all spiritual beings. God is the life of us, God is the soul, God is the mind, God is the spirit. God is the animating principle of our being. God itself is the life of us. God has breathed its own life into us, as us. And we as spiritual healers bear witness to this truth. And what becomes of the sinner? What becomes of the sin? What becomes of the disease? What becomes of the dying? They melt. They dissolve into nothingness. They disappear from sight. Why? Well, now, you can't make 2 times 2 is 4 disappear. You can't make the law of like begetting like disappear. You can't make do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do disappear. You cannot destroy reality.
All right, Joel. You cannot destroy reality. That's where the tape ended. So thank you so much for joining me today in this first episode of Consciousness, of the Secrets of Consciousness, and discovering the secrets. And what you see, we dive really deep into it with what Joel shares too. It's like, that's so beautiful and complements it so very well. So I'm happy with this setup. And so let me know how this is for you, and like, come back next time, because we're continuing this, we're developing this, we're getting deeper and deeper into this, and that's really wonderful, because it's like this is a matter of inclusion. It's not a matter of differentiating, of saying like, no, that's not part of it, that's not part of it. No, you hear, just like Joel said, it's a matter of seeing it for what it is, recognizing your brother as the Christ, and like recognizing oneness, not saying like judging your brothers, like that's not right what you do. No, it's like, it's a matter of inclusion. He's the Son of God. He's going to set you free. Now this is just a beautiful end of this tape. So thank you, Joel, for this instruction, for this sharing this with us. And thank you for being part of this today. And I hope to see you next week in the next episode of Discovering the Secrets of Consciousness. Thank you so much. And for now, see you before you know it. Thank you so much.